Hello everyone, you're very welcome back to another video. My name is Amy, I'm a musician, I play guitar and I sing, and I make videos that consist mostly of cover songs, guitar content, vlogs, and I also just really enjoy talking about music related things, and or Irish things, depending on the video. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you 7 tips that I think will help you to become a better guitar player, or any kind of musician for that matter, doesn't matter what you play. Also for building any kind of skill or habit that isn't music related. A lot of these tips I use myself, not just for my music, but for my Irish dancing too. So whether you are trying to improve on something or you are starting something new from the very beginning, I think this can apply to you too, and I want to give you some things that I think are important to keep in mind. I've been playing music since I was 8 years old, playing guitar for close to 20 years now, and while I am absolutely not a master in the craft of guitar playing in any way, I have learned a few things along the way that have helped me, and I would like to share those things with you in the hopes that they will help you in whatever you are pursuing. These are things that I try my best to keep in mind too when I am going through a difficult patch or if I'm faced with a challenge. We're still relatively at the beginning of the year as I'm filming this. January has been a very strange month for a lot of us. By now, the New Year's resolutions have hopefully stuck, but most likely not. But I hope these tips will help to just push you to continue with whatever you're working on. I will be mentioning some technical things in this video, but this video honestly is largely about mindset and attitude, because I believe that you need a certain mindset and attitude in order to succeed at something. And that isn't always easy. I actually made a video like this back in 2020. I don't know if any of you would remember it, but this was back when I was very new to video making and speaking to the camera. Back then, I was still finding my confidence, and I feel like I've come a long way since then. I don't even recognize me from 5 years ago. This is a video that I've been wanting to redo and wanting to update with my new perspective, since I've learned a lot since then and I've put myself out there a lot more since then. I don't even feel like that same person anymore, so I want to update this video. So some of the information may be the same, but you know what? I think I'll probably make that old video private anyway. Because I know it's part of my journey, but I can't. I don't even recognize her. I can't. The cringe. Before we get into the video, I would just quickly like to remind you to please hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell so that you don't miss when I post something new. Also drop a comment below if you feel like it. Any engagement with this video helps me out so much. I am trying to grow this channel, grow my audience, because I want to make music. That's my passion. That's my goal in life. So you engaging in any way just helps me get that smaller step closer to what I want to do. Tip number 1 is to be consistent in practice. The key to succeeding in anything is consistency, especially when it comes to any kind of skill building or craft. Short bursts of productive practice more frequently is going to get you much further than doing an hour or 2 every now and then. For example, if you are learning guitar from scratch, you are going to build your skills so much quicker by just setting aside 5 minutes a day and doing a little bit every day to work on one specific thing instead of sitting down for an hour or half an hour once a week. Especially in the beginning, your brain is literally trying to form new neural pathways. So if you sit down with the guitar for 30 minutes on Wednesday and then you do an hour again on Sunday and then you don't pick up the guitar for a few more days after that, you're probably not going to see the progress that you would like. Here's the secret trick though, and this is something that I do myself. The 5-minute rule is just a trick, a little mental trick to play on yourself. You tell yourself that you're just going to do 5 minutes and that's it. Life's really busy nowadays. Cost of living's at an all-time high. We all have to work. We have to earn money. Some of us have to work more than one job. We got to run our business, kids to look after, walk the dog, do the dishes, do the laundry. Time is the most valuable thing we have. And now more than ever, we don't even have the time to make time. That's why I like the 5-minute trick, because it just allows you that mental space to say, right, I'm just gonna sit down, I'm just gonna do 5 minutes, and I'm just gonna do this for me. I have 5 minutes to work on this thing. Set a timer if you have to. The trick is, by the time the 5 minutes is up, you're already in it. You're getting a flow started and you're kind of through that first hurdle. So you're getting in the flow, and chances are you're gonna keep going and do more. This happens to me all the time. I will set a timer for 5 minutes, I'll sit down to work on something specific, and then next thing, 20 minutes has passed. 30 minutes has passed. I'm like, okay, I'll just do it one more time. All right, I'll just do it one more time. One more time. I get so addicted. Before I know it, I've done 30 to 40 minutes, maybe even an hour of practice, which is a fantastic practice session. But even if that doesn't happen, the worst case scenario here is you only did 5 minutes, and 5 minutes of practice is way better than 0 minutes of practice. 5 minutes a day adds up to 35 minutes in a week at a minimum. That's gonna do you more good than that half hour or an hour once a week. And 5 minutes is much less mentally daunting rather than thinking, oh, I've got to sit down today and practice for an hour, because you probably won't do it in that case. Let's be honest. I think that's safe to say. You're not gonna do it. This is especially for the procrastinators watching, which is myself included, by the way. I am really good at putting off a certain task if it just feels like it's too much that day. And I'm really good at putting something off for weeks and weeks and weeks. Let me know if you're like that too. I know I'm not the only one. So you might be watching this and going, Amy, there's absolutely no way that 5 minutes a day is enough to make any real progress with anything. If you really think that, I challenge you to try it. Do it for 7 days straight, 5 minutes a day. Pick something you're working on, whether it's a song or a solo, or could even just be a riff or chord progression. Pick something, pick anything. Set aside 5 minutes a day. Set an alarm, set a timer so that you don't go over it, although if you do, that's a good thing. Make a log of your practice. Journal how each of the sessions went. 7 days straight, see if anything changes. Did your fingers move quicker? Can they transition faster from one chord to the next? How do the notes sound? Now you might not get it finished or get it perfect, I can't promise you that, but I bet you will see a pretty significant difference by the end of the 7 days. And if you're anything like most people today, you probably spend hours doom scrolling on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or whatever it is. So why not shave just 5 minutes off that unproductive brain melting activity and do something for yourself, learn something that's gonna make your mind feel better and for you to feel better in yourself. And all you gotta do is show up. So remember, consistency is key. Tip number 2 is to have patience. This kind of goes hand in hand with tip number 1. In our consistent practice time, we also need to have patience. It's so important for any kind of skill building. We live in such a fast-paced world today. Our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter, and that really is very scary, I think. So many of us expect fast results in most things today. Instant gratification. We don't like to wait. We scroll mindlessly through face after face on social media, and if something doesn't hook us in the first 2 seconds, we keep moving on. We like to binge watch TV shows now. We don't like waiting for weekly episodes to air anymore. This immediateness of everything, we want it in learning something too. We want to be able to pick up the guitar and instantly make it sound good. And I hate to break it to you, but it does not work like that. I'm guilty of this too. I still get days when I am so frustrated with something that I'm working on. I'll be working on something, whether it's a song or a video, it's just not working, but I want to get it done by the end of the week, and sometimes just my fingers and my brain just need a little bit more time with it. There could be something technically holding me back and I'm just playing it over and over and over again, and it's just not getting any easier.
These fucking bastards are just not fucking letting me get it tonight!
When I'm struggling with something, there's a phrase that I like to repeat to myself. It just kind of helps ground me again. It really helps me a lot. Now, I don't know, it might not help you, but maybe it will. And the phrase is, there are no shortcuts. Again, this applies to learning anything difficult, but especially it applies so heavy to the guitar. Guitar is just one of those instruments where you're gonna have a hard time in the beginning. But if you stick with it, it gets easier, I promise you. Being patient with the process is one of the biggest success tips that I can give to anyone. Also, enjoying the process and being kind to yourself in the process. The joy needs to be found in the learning of something and not in the gratification of achieving it quickly. And the longer you spend practicing something, oh my god, is it so much sweeter when you finally get it. You'll get that magical feeling of playing something with ease and knowing that you worked hard to get there. You worked hard to make it easy. That is the best feeling in the world for a musician. It might take you 6 months to learn one song, and that's perfectly okay. No one is gonna hand this to you. There are no corners to cut, so you may as well enjoy yourself along the way. And patience and kindness with yourself is essential. And how you speak to yourself in those moments when you really have to exercise your levels of patience is also really important. And I think it does play a role in how successful you're gonna be. If you talk to yourself when you're struggling like, oh my god, I'm such a piece of shit, I can't do this, I'm so stupid, I can't even play this, you are gonna drive yourself crazy and you're gonna make yourself miserable.
Will you let me do it, you stupid fucking hands? Let me do it!
But if you tell yourself, hey, don't panic, don't worry, this stuff is supposed to take a long time. I'm supposed to put time and work into this. And I'm gonna enjoy myself, and I'm gonna enjoy doing it for me. And it will come, I will get it. I will get it eventually. I just gotta keep going. This is a practical tip, which I am gonna touch on a little bit later in this video, but what I like to do if I'm having a hard time with something is I practice something with a metronome. I do it 10 times at half speed, 10 times at 3/4 speed, and then 10 times at full speed, whatever the tempo is. And then after that, I put it down and I walk away from it. Sometimes it takes our brains a little bit longer than we would like to process that information. Even a good night's sleep can do wonders for something musically that you're working on and for learning how to play that impossible little phrase in that solo. That's happened to me so many times. I'll be practicing something like crazy, I can't get it, it's driving me mad. I'll go to bed, go to sleep, get up the next morning and be able to play it. Has that ever happened to anybody else? While we were sleeping, our brain processed all of that muscle memory that we were working on, and it just needed a bit more time. We just had to give it a bit more time. Repeat that process for weeks, months, and years, and I guarantee you that that'll make you a pretty great musician. Combining this tip with the previous one, you will see the level of work that you need to put into an instrument if you want to be good at it. So just remember to be patient. There are no shortcuts, because if you don't keep this in mind, you will probably burn yourself out, or worse, you'll give up, as so many people do.
Can't do it. I'm fucking quitting.
I could honestly just end the video here. Really. But no, I got lots more for you. Tip number 3 is to record yourself. I cannot even express to you how much I've learned about myself and my playing since I started to record myself and listening back to what I played or sang. While this has been a very rewarding thing to do, I can acknowledge that it is not an easy thing to do, and I did struggle with this for a long time. It took me a long time to get over that fear. I used to be one of those people that couldn't stand the sound of my own voice. I couldn't watch myself in videos. I could barely just about do pictures. If I was playing a live gig and someone recorded it, and if it was played back to me, I would literally have to cover my ears. I just could not stand the sound of me playing guitar, let alone singing. I have another video on my channel where I talk a little bit about, you know, getting over my fear of recording myself and stuff and listening back to myself. So check that out if you want to. If you feel like it, I will link it in the description. At this point now, I've gained so much confidence that this no longer bothers me in the slightest. If I record something bad and I listen back to it, it honestly makes me laugh. I just laugh at myself because it's so funny, which is a great place to be in because years ago that would be enough to send me into a spiral of self-hatred. Now at this point, I wish I had done it more in the past because I would have learned so much about myself. I feel like my playing has improved leaps and bounds simply because I just started to record myself and listen back objectively and think, how can I make this sound better? When we're practicing something, it's so easy to just listen to what we're playing collectively, and there's so much information that we're skipping over. We're missing so many important details. It could be just a certain note or a certain phrase. Just by changing one tiny thing, it could make all the difference to the entire phrase. And you might not have picked up on that had you not recorded yourself and listened back. So I highly encourage and highly recommend you to start recording yourself during your practice time if you don't already do that. Tip number 4 is don't compare yourself to others. We all know the famous quote, "Comparison is the thief of joy," but it couldn't be more true. Comparing yourself to others is the quickest way to kill any drive or passion or creativity that you may have. I think we're all guilty of this sometimes, but the better that we are at nipping those thoughts in the bud, I think the happier we'll be. And social media does not make this easy, especially nowadays. All platforms are just oversaturated with such amazingly talented players. And it can be so hard to not go down that mental rabbit hole of looking at how many subscribers other people have, or oh, they have more followers than me, or maybe they have less followers than you, but you see them as more talented. They're a way better player than me, or they have a gig or a job that I really want. Kind of like me whenever I find myself watching one of Mateus Asato's videos or Larry Basilio's videos. I'm like, what the am I doing here? I'm just kidding. But those thoughts are so unbelievably unproductive. If you watch someone else play and it actually has a negative effect on you and you start to think, well, what's the point? I'm gonna fail, so what's the point? They're already better than me. I need you to stop that right now. Snap out of it, because that is an absolute, complete waste of your time. It achieves nothing. Your guitar journey or your journey has zero effect on anybody else, and somebody else's guitar journey has zero effect on you. And someone else's guitar playing actually has nothing to do with you. Who's in charge of your journey? You are. Nobody else. Attitude and mindset is everything. So if you find yourself struggling with these thoughts, acknowledge them and try to move past them, because you are just wasting your time and making yourself miserable. And the reality is, we learn so much just from watching other people. That's how we get inspired. Remind yourself of why you love to play, focus on that feeling instead of just putting yourself down. And also, be happy for other people, whether you know them or not. If you're watching someone succeed, be happy for them and cheer them on. I'll admit there were times in my past when I wasn't happy for the people around me at the time, but it was 100% a reflection on how I was feeling at the time. I was miserable, I was frustrated, I wasn't happy where my life was at the time. And when someone close to me had something good happen to them, I would take it as a personal attack on me. What's wrong with me? Why did they get it and not me? Am I not good enough? Even if I didn't say these things out loud, this was my internal dialogue. And you know what? It is not productive in any way. It only added to my misery. If you're someone who struggles with this, challenge those thoughts when you have one. I'm not a licensed therapist, by the way. I'm just saying that this tip has helped me over the years, because one thing that I can say about myself that I know I have succeeded in is that my mindset has changed so much for the good in the last 10 years. And you know what happened to me is good things started to come my way. Nothing good was happening to me back then when I was miserable and not happy for other people. I can't really explain what that is, but I just know that that's how it went for me. So don't take someone else's success as a personal attack on you, because it has absolutely nothing to do with you. And in the same breath, someone else's failure isn't good for you. Cheer them on, be happy for them, because it's their turn this time. And if you care about them and are invested in their success, then really a win for them is a win for you too. And your turn is coming, and it will come. And I bet that you will want people there cheering you on too when it's your turn. Tip number 5 is to practice with a metronome. Would you please, for God's sake, actually for all our sakes. Practicing with a metronome is so great for keeping great timing. And the great thing is, if you don't own a metronome, you don't have to buy one. Whatever device you're watching this video on, whether it's a phone or a tablet or computer, whatever, you have internet access, so go to Google, type in metronome, boom, free metronome, you're welcome. So you've no excuse now. I practice with a metronome all the time, or if I'm working in my DAW, I just use the click track. Keeping good rhythm has always been important to me, and I do notice a difference in my rhythm because I got in the habit of using a metronome. I actually couldn't even imagine not using one now. Rhythm skills are so much more valuable than just being able to play something fast for the sake of it. When you are learning something new, it is so important to learn how to play it slowly first. If you try and play something too fast too quickly, especially if the thing you're learning is fast, there's so much you're skipping over and there's so much you're missing because you didn't break it down to learn it slowly first. You gotta get the basics down first. You gotta make sure the notes are accurate and that you understand what you're trying to play. Break it down bit by bit and practice with a metronome. Start slow and then gradually build up the speed. Like I said earlier in the video, 10 times at half speed, 10 times at 3/4 speed, and then 10 times at full speed. Keep doing that till you get it. Sometimes when we play live or when we record ourselves, we tend to speed up and increase the speed without even realizing that we're doing it because we're nervous, or there's adrenaline, or we have a little bit of red light syndrome. But if you get in the habit of practicing with the metronome at home, it's gonna help you so much when you do go out and play for other people because you'll be used to thinking about tempo and you'll be used to thinking about groove. So if you get nervous, you can just take a breath, take a moment, think about the tempo, think about the groove, and play everything at the speed that it's meant to be played at instead of rushing through it and making a bunch of mistakes. A metronome will just help you all round play things so much better. It'll help you with your rhythm skills, which of course are essential for being a great musician. Tip number 6 is possibly controversial one. I don't know, maybe. I feel like I need to explain this one very clearly. Tip number 6 is be careful who you take advice from. Now, it is really important to be open to help and advice and criticism. I use that word very carefully. But if you can, also consider where the advice is coming from and who is giving it to you. Even me with this video, if you don't resonate with what I'm saying, then don't take my advice. I hope if you do watch my videos, you at least maybe, I think, get a sense that I am a little bit knowledgeable. Even if I'm not an expert, I'm definitely not, but I'm also coming from a good place too. I do genuinely want you to succeed, you watching this video. I want you to do well. If you are somebody who puts yourself online, then you already know that you are going to get a whole bunch of different opinions. You are going to get people who love the way you do things, and you're going to get people who hate the way you do things. Trust me. Now, online comments are just kind of their own toxic territory, but this does apply to real life too. I can't tell you how many times when I was a teenager and somebody would ask me, what do I want to do when I leave school? And I'd say music, and oh, the amount of people that actually became suddenly experts in music. How much advice I got from people who hadn't done it before, and they needed to tell me what I need to do, what I should do, or worse, told me that it would never happen. To some people, a job in music means you're either Taylor Swift or you die trying. And they don't realize that there's actually many happy in-between stages. If you find yourself in a situation where somebody is giving you advice on what you need to do, or they are shoulding all over you, before you internalize their words, ask yourself, have they any experience themselves? Have they done or are they doing something that you aspire to do? If the answer is yes, then by all means, listen with open ears and learn as much as you can from that person. But if the answer is no, then maybe turn on your mental protective shell and just try and let their words bounce right off you. Because unfortunately, it can be way too easy to be discouraged by the words of others, whether it's a internet comment or a real life bully who's deliberately trying to hurt you, or it could even be a family member that doesn't mean any harm. They might mean well, but they just don't maybe fully realize that they are not qualified to be giving you any advice. And that takes me back to tip number 4 about being happy for others and cheering people on. Other people that tell you that you're not going to be successful at something, excuse me? Who the hell do you think you are? That is not up for you to decide. I know it's hard, but try not to let them get you down, or at least get you down for too long, because what's really happening is that your success is a threat to them. So by all means, learn as much as you can from your music teachers, from your mentors, from the people who've already climbed the mountain and are happy to help you on your journey. And don't listen to that nasty co-worker or that moron in your comment section that keeps coming back with their unsolicited opinion on how you do what you do. It doesn't mean that you are not open to constructive criticism. It just means that you're protecting yourself and protecting your creative bubble. Like I said, that's why I think some people might see this as a little bit controversial, because especially on the internet, people want to give their opinion left, right, and center. And I mean, they can do that. They're allowed to do that. But sometimes when you get unsolicited or unqualified advice that you didn't ask for, people just think that you are not open to correction, which is not the case at all. It shouldn't be the case. So keep doing you and keep shining. This nicely brings me to my final tip, which is tip number 7, and that is always be yourself.
Be yourself, be yourself, be yourself.
I know that sounds really cheesy, but hear me out. Your voice and your life perspective is completely unique to you. Even if you have things in common with other people, or you have a similar upbringing with a sibling, your perspective is still different to the next person's. In the whole history of there being human beings, there's never been anybody like you, and there never will be anybody like you. One of my favorite things about music is the humanness of it. Every guitar player, every musician is completely different. That's what makes it fun, and that's what makes it interesting. Of course, you take inspiration from others, but it's really important at the end of the day to stay true to yourself and your perspective and what it is that you want to say through your music and through your instrument. Imagine a world where we all sounded exactly the same. Like, you line up 10 musicians or you line up 10 guitar players, give them all the same guitar, same tone settings, same amp, and everything sounded exactly the same from one person to the next. That would be so boring and such a pity. Oh my god, I'm so glad that that's not the case. That's the beautiful thing about playing music, is that you can line up those 10 musicians, give them all the same stuff, and each player will still sound a little bit different to the next one. They can play the same thing and it'll sound different every time. That's why also don't get too caught up in buying pedals and stuff like that. The tone is in the fingers. Even if you have a guitar player or an artist or anybody that you absolutely idolize, you love the way they do things and you want to be just like them, I mean, that's fine. We all do that. It's such a great thing to be inspired. But it's also important to remember that you can never be exactly like them. You can only ever be a copy of them. You can never be 100% like John Mayer, because only John Mayer is 100% John Mayer. You can only ever sound like a John Mayer copy, but you want to sound like 100% you. My best advice is to take all your favorite bits of all your favorite players, combine them all together, and create something that is uniquely yours. As one of my heroes, Tommy Emmanuel, says, "I am guilty of petty theft. Every cool thing you see him do, he's nicked from Chet Atkins or Jerry Reed. We all do it. It's fine. We all do it. We take all those little pieces of other people and then we make them our own." Also, we can always tell when somebody isn't fully being themselves. Like, it just becomes really obvious if you're watching someone and they are trying really hard to be like somebody else. It's not fun to watch. It's quite uncomfortable, and we can just tell when somebody's not being authentic. And I know it can be really easy to get lost when you're creating your own sound or trying to discover your own sound. I struggle with this too. The industry and the internet is full of people doing the same thing you're doing. So it can be easy to feel like, is there even any room for me? I know I've really had a hard time with that thought over the years. But we have to remember that yes, absolutely, there is room for everyone. Have you ever randomly stumbled across an artist, a musician, a song, an album, even a YouTube channel, and just instantly fallen in love with it, or you instantly really liked it? That's happened to me a lot. And once you fall in love with something, or once you find something that you really enjoy, it then becomes really hard to imagine a world where that doesn't exist. And what a tragedy that would be if that song never got released or that album never got made, because it now means so much to you. That's when you have to focus on why you do what you do, the fact that you do it because you enjoy it and it's not about anybody else or what anybody else thinks. The right people will find you and they'll love you for you. And then they won't be able to imagine a world where you're not in it, if you're lucky enough to have even a small amount of people who love what you do. I hope these tips helped you in some way. If any of them did resonate with you, let me know in the comments below which one you think might help you the most. Also, I know this video was largely based on mindset. I would love to do a video that's a little bit more tailored for guitar specifically and for techniques and things like that, like actual guitar tips that will help you be a better guitar player. I would love to do that video. I had thought about doing it in this video, but then I thought it might have been a little bit of too much information overload, and I think this video is already going to be long enough, so I didn't want to overlap too much into the technical side of things. I'd love to make that video. I think more specifically for guitar players needs its own video, so let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to make that video, although I'll probably make it anyway even if you don't want it. Thanks again for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you did watch it all the way through, thank you. Please drop a like. Please drop a like. Drop a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell so you don't miss when I post. I do cover songs, I do videos like this where I chat about something, I do live streams, I do vertical live streams, I make guitar shorts. I have a new series that I started recently called Underrated Guitar Riffs. People have been enjoying that, so that's over in the shorts section of my channel, so check that out if you want to. I've also started doing a series with my husband where we talk all about, you know, being a long distance couple and how we closed the gap, and we, you know, how I moved so we could be together. And we, in the last video, and we talked recently about the whole immigration legal process of getting married. Sorry, my dog's distracting me. Are you okay? You look like you're gonna get sick. I also have a Patreon and YouTube membership. Check them out in the description below. I have a bunch of fun perks. We do a private live stream every month for all members. Some members get early access to my videos, so you get to watch them early. And recently I have started actually voting. We have been voting on cover songs that I do. So that's been really fun. We just did the first one recently, and people voted on Jolene. So I'm currently working on a cover of Jolene. So look forward to that soon. I cannot wait to get it finished and for you to see it.
I had to have this talk with you. My happiness depends on you, and whatever you decide you'll do, Jolene. Jolene.
Everything is linked below if you would like to support extra, but of course you don't have to. Just being here and watching my videos and hitting the like button, it means the world to me. So thank you so much. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Thanks again.